I'm Jim Radio Ward and welcome to a thoughts and opinions video on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. This is basically a talk about my thoughts and opinions on the show. I've currently up to date and I recently finished watching episode 15, so I'm currently up to date with the episodes at hand. I've got 3 more episodes left, as far as I know. I think it's from about 3 or 4 episodes until the season's finished. And I kind of want to get my thoughts and opinions because I haven't talked about this yet. Basically, after watching Captain America, The Winter Soldier, I'm not going to give away anything about that movie or anything. If you want to see my review for that, I've been linking in the description below. It's kind of got me back into the show again just to see certain elements and see how certain things will play it out during the events that happened within that movie. I'm curious to see where they're going to take the show now. And as I stated in that review, I was curious to see how they're going to do Avengers 2 and how they're going to basically carry on the show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in a sense, practically. And by the looks of it, they're going to introduce that the next episode, the end is just beginning, sorry. By the looks of it, from a couple of pages and articles that I've read. I have noticed there's been a certain character within the popped up in the last episode I watched of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And it looks like it's intertwining quite well, and I think by the end of the series, something big is going to happen within the show that's going to, effectively give a whole new edge to the meaning of TV show and movie being closer than ever before in a sense. I think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. might be the closest thing, I think, as far as a fan base, as an actual fan base of the movies and stuff like that. I think the show's got opportunities now to actually take what's happened within that movie, and especially after the events of, Avengers 2 and stuff, to actually give a lot of answers that we're not going to be able to get in the movies until a lot later on, because the last movie this year is Guardians of the Galaxy. That's a good portion that's going to be in space, other realms, other kind of worlds and stuff like that, other species. So the next time we're going to see Back to Earth probably will be probably most likely a post-credit scene in that movie, or probably just the Avengers 2. I'm curious to see what they're going to do with this series. Now, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't exactly the best show. The first episode was released earlier on this year. It's directed and written, I think, by Joss Whedon, of course. Now, Joss Whedon's a fantastic and gifted director and writer. The Dollhouse, Buffy, Angel, so many fantastic shows, of course, Firefly, Serenity. All fantastic shows. I've got all of them practically. There's not a single TV show he has done that I don't like practically. And the first episode I thought was very well done. And of course, it's based around Agent Phil Coulson, of course, our beloved character that we loved within the Phase 1 Marvel movies. Of course, he did get killed off Avengers, which if anyone says he didn't, because I remember watching at the cinema with a stake right through his heart in a sense. And of course, the first kind of 10 episodes was really bouncing on that fact that what's happened to Phil, how is he still alive, how did they manage to get him, and they do explain it, do give a lot of answers. Now, the last 5 episodes that I watched definitely improved. Now, I'll put that to a side for a minute. Now, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't exactly the best show, like I just previously mentioned. I felt the first 10 episodes were very sloppy. I felt the concept is bigger than what AMC can give out in a sense, and it looks like for the most part those first 10 episodes it had a lot of pacing issues. I think the writing wasn't strong. The characters are likeable enough, and there's enough kind of suspense and things going on in the background, kind of thing like that, and there's obviously some build up to certain things which actually paid off now in all fairness, and references that I've enjoyed seeing in a sense. But I think they've definitely understood what's happened during the mid-season break and actually stepped up, and I think the show needs a bigger budget, and I think it needs stronger writing, and it looks like they actually are doing that now. It looks like they're introducing a lot of these opportunity to give smaller kind of villains and superhero characters a chance to shine in the TV show. It looks like they've done that. They've introduced quite a few different references to other villains and other characters and stuff, which is really cool, and they've even got Lady Sif from actually the full universe in actually the last episode 15, actually in the show, which actually is absolutely fantastic. To incorporate a crossover like that is massive, because the crossover beforehand was so after the events of Thor Dark World, which is basically them cleaning up the events down in London. Yippee skippy in a sense, yeah, kind of thing. It felt a lot like to me they were milking the Avengers cow massively for the first load of episodes, and constantly referencing and constantly just relying on that show and that movie in a sense, the series of movies, constant references, and it just gets you on my nerves. It really does. I hate that writing. And this is not by Joss Whedon, by the way. This is by another writers who given full control of the show and take it in a certain direction. And they've got an opportunity. I mean, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is the only TV series link to the movies in a sense. So, I mean, whether they screwed up or not is up to them in a way. And I think they will get a second season, perfectly honest. I think for many different reasons, especially with the Avengers and with the Marvel movies coming out, I would be surprised if they didn't. Now, the last 5 episodes after the bridge episode, they did explain what happened to Coulson. They have explained there's a lot of things going on, and being the fact of what I know now from Captain America Winter Soldier, it's a lot more interesting to see some of those underlying plays play out now in those last 5 episodes, because I did reference a couple of little links and references to what's going on. It does work quite well. So the writers here, I've obviously got the feedback and I've obviously got the knowledge of what Joss Whedon and what the other writers are doing on those other movies, and actually feeding it through each other, which makes a lot more of an interesting show, definitely. And it looks like they're actually taking it in a very interesting direction. Last 5 episodes, I personally was better written, better action, a lot more funnier in some of the comedy aspect scenes, and just a lot more interesting. I got a nice little cameo appearance from Stan Lee as well, which is awesome, of course. And the last couple of episodes, that's 4, maybe 5 episodes, depending on how many episodes there is left, I'm not sure, will determine whether I stick with the show or not. And by the looks of it, they are going in a certain direction, and I'm happy to see where they're going to take it. And I think if they did a season 2, they got a big opportunity to take a huge concept, take their own themes of what they did and their own main villain they've got in this series, and continue it on with the next season, and at the same time give us some answers and give it a little nice explanation and bridge gaps between the actual movies, because we're not going to get a proper one now to Avengers 2, back on Earth and back what's happening after the events of Captain America. So I'm curious to see that. The show, I think, needs to improve, and it has done. Whether it will continue that, I do not know. The next episode does look pretty good after the end of the day. It's called End of the Beginning, I think it's called. Project Deathlock, which is an interesting character, and I'm curious to see where else they're going to go from that kind of sense. And there has been references to a facility called the Fridge, keeping all the villains and stuff like that, so that's interesting for sure. So yeah, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is had a rocky start. I think it did lose me for a good portion of the while. I mean, the only reason I've come back into it now is because of Captain America the movie. I think it needs to improve. It has got an opportunity to do something special here, especially with the movies. But I think personally, the concept a lot of the time is bigger than the budget and bigger than TV in a sense, and they have to be very careful, I think, especially honest. I mean, they're sticking to their roots and they are trying to do more, expand out, and they're trying to do more dramatic episodes, more darker episodes, which is really, really cool to see, definitely, especially in the last episode that I watched. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts and opinions on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I mean, it's definitely got me back into the show now after the episodes, and especially watching the movies. I'm curious to see how they end the season finale and how they're going to incorporate certain things that I've, try not to say in a sense. For anyone who's watched Captain America, you know exactly what I mean. So yeah, I'm hoping the show continues to be good, and if they do get a second season, which I personally think they will, I'm curious to see what they would do for a second series, especially being the fact of Avengers 2 coming up very, very soon. So yeah, cool stuff. That's my thoughts and opinions on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. What are your thoughts and opinions on the TV show, guys? Is it good, is it bad for you? What's your favourite episode? What's your worst episode? Because there's quite a few. Comment down below me. So in the meantime, Andrew 50, signing out.